So I think it changes a bit how we look at stuff. Flutter is not only to do a recipe application anymore, right? We are painting things on the screen, be it a mobile application or an interactive experience. So it's not going to be something that we use as an utility. It could be something that we use for teaching. It could be something that can be used for storytelling. And underneath it all, we are using the language that we love and the framework that we love.
Okay, so welcome to this roundtable, and today we will talk about what Flutter will become in the future, or what we expect or hope it will become in the future. Past January the 25, we had a big event in Kenya, Nairobi, and they told us the latest news about Flutter development, but other than that, the event was called Flutter Forward because they also set the expectation for what it comes. We had many news. For example, the Dart 3, the new WebAssembly that we can use in Flutter Web, Impeller, and many, many news. Then I want to ask you, because this is a panel, so I'm not the only who should speak. What is your best announcement for the Flutter Forward? It's on? Yes? Teresa, what was your...
I have to say there's so many of it, but I really like the function that we can now embed a Flutter app on HTML, which is, for me, is great. And I will let other people to share their thoughts and opinions, but also because at the moment, I'm also exploring Flutter for desktop. So one of the announcements they made in the Flutter Forward events is to support multi-screens on desktop application that you can sync and async your functions on multiple screens with desktop, which is great. The code isn't public yet. It's still in discovery mode, but they share a very nice demo, and you can search it on YouTube.
Thank you. Also, the embedding was really my favorite one because it was crazy seeing how you can now interact with JavaScript inside your Flutter application and vice versa, because before it was just sandboxed and you can't do anything else. And your Kendi, what it was your favorite announcement?
My favorite announcement is, first of all, having them come to Nairobi. That was really amazing. But yes, but 100% sound null safe was really a thing for me.
Yeah, because we remember it's basically your home, right?
Precisely. Yes.
So, what about the involvement in Google in Kenya? I mean, there is a lot of expansion over there because the Flutter Forward, it's something that is expanding all around the world, right?
Yes. So the expansion of that is really amazing because now it gives more developers, especially from Africa, to like now start learning more about Flutter, and building the communities now is becoming bigger and bigger.
Thank you. Majid, what was your favorite announcement?
We have two.
Why you have?
I'm special.
You can keep this.
First of all, let me thank everyone who still is sitting here. It's amazing to see lots of you. Usually last session is, well, the hardest one because everyone leaves. That shows how passionate you are. Thank you very much. And thanks all organizers and everyone who is involved in organizing this panel as well. And I'm sorry, like I see lots of experts here, so it's I'm shy to be in front of other experts to talk, so if I sit here, so I hope that you forgive me for this. This can be your chair as well. But back to the favorite thing. Well, looking at Flutter, I think heart of it is Dart, right? So to me, evolving this language, since I started using that like maybe 5 years ago, I see it's a big change coming to this language every couple of months. And I like these changes because it eventually evolves how Flutter works as well. For example, features such as records in Dart, it's a big thing. If you don't know what it is, just bear with us. Hopefully some expert in the community will come and talk about this, including myself. I like these language features. And plus, I also like how now we can compile Dart to WASM, and also opening a door towards building a Flutter app on different type of architecture, for example, RISC-V, so that it opens lots of other opportunity for Flutter developers. I do love these on top of the rest that you mentioned.
And then Gonçalo.
So, I mean, everyone said very nice things. Majid was very nice to all of you. And then I'm here saying the unsmart things like, well, I like games, I like 3D. So it's good to see that Flutter is changing a bit of a perspective of what we can do with a mobile framework. So we had for quite some time 3D rendering in mobile applications, but now we have it also for web. We have new things incoming, and I see here Flame, right? So I think, yeah, of course. So I think it changes a bit how we look at stuff. Flutter is not only to do a recipe application anymore, right? We are painting things on the screen, be it a mobile application or an interactive experience. So it's not going to be something that we use as an utility. It could be something that we use for teaching. It could be something that can be used for storytelling. And underneath it all, we are using the language that we love and the framework that we love. So again, all these things were amazing. He was very nice, but I just like him, so I'm sorry.
So, speaking about the future of Flutter, I want to continue a discussion we had yesterday. Basically, many companies nowadays are using Flutter, and this trend doesn't seems to stop. Do you know any company that use Flutter, except Google, of course, for some big application already in production? Who want to take this one?
I can give some names. Yeah, there are, well, some of the user stories, you can find them on the Flutter website right now. So they interviewed big companies. Apart from that, in fact, today, one of the sponsors here that was talking to them, the organizer of this conference, I think they mentioned they are building such a big app, which, well, probably we don't know, and they kept it like kind of internally. And I talked to them, and this is amazing that I see they're building big application for like banks and like insurance companies. That was one. Another one, a lean code, they have done like a big banking app in Poland, I guess, for one of the banks again, and that is also one of the big ones. There are, of course, many Flutter apps, I'm pretty sure, but the thing is that we don't really hear from companies that they're doing big apps with Flutter. I think if you're working on those companies, please speak up, because if you don't speak, we don't know if you're doing such things. So I think this is my advice to those who are doing big ones. Anyone else?
Someone else on this topic? Do you want to say something? Okay. So I'm just curious about the audience. How many of you already work as a Flutter developer? Okay, raise someone. Hey,
What do you expect? They work as a Go developer?
You're in the Flutter conference, Carlo. Come on.
I know, but usually, do you know how many people like Flutter but actually do something else for work? I mean, not completely different, like making pizza or like, but yes, it's happened. And there is a lot of increase also in communities. Do you have any communities that you want to speak about? I know, for example, you have Flutter Kenya.
Yes, I think that you should talk a little bit about Kenya, because
Yeah.
when we went there, we actually saw that Flutter is used not only to make money via applications in companies, but it's also used to teach people. And don't you want to talk a little bit about the Technogods? I think it would be a fun story to tell everyone.
Yes. So when I started learning about Flutter back in 2018, I was pretty new and I was still in campus. And I just attended a tech event, and one of the speakers was like, let's create a Flutter community. So I was like, should I approach them? When you see a speaker and you're like, oh, this is a big deal. So I was curious, and then that's how we started Flutter Kenya. Not exactly in 2018, but sometime in 2019, and it was really amazing to see us growing a whole community from a group of 3 people to a group of more than 1,000 developers. And besides that, it's also been amazing to see guys learning, guys speaking at tech conferences, and also people getting jobs through the community. Like, you have an interview, and especially a technical interview, and people just reach out to you and they're like, I have this challenge. I wish to understand how to go about it. So it's been really great seeing guys learning how to also answer these technical questions through the community.
Do you think that community really help Flutter to go bigger?
Yes, I think yes, 100% yes. I mean, from even groups that have been created from Slack messages and such stuff. If you're stuck, you literally ask a question, and there's always somebody to help you, to unstuck you rather. So I feel like communities really help grow Flutter engineers.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anyone else on this topic? Oh.
I mean, the only thing that I want to say about this is what I've been discussing with a lot of people. We all here, it doesn't matter if we just started Flutter a week ago or 2, or if we are here for how many years, Majid? 30 years that you have been developing with Flutter?
Not that old.
Okay. You're right, 25, I'm sorry.
21 plus 500
Exactly. So I think we should try to use the community for good, in the sense that we all know how the world is currently, right? I'm not going to talk about that, but there are a lot of people looking for new opportunities. And that is the power of the community, right? The community is not just for people in tech saying, well, I'm going to teach others already in this community about Flutter, but it's also to use a platform and the language that is easy to learn like Flutter to have more people coming joining our side, because reality is most of us have a good job stability versus people that are not in the tech industry. So why not use that to teach others as a community and bring them over? Yeah.
Since you already have the microphone, now let's have some fun.
Yes.
What's your favorite widget, and how do you want to see that evolved in the future?
My favorite widget is the indexed stack. There's
Really?
not going to be any future, I don't know. I mean, I really like the notion of platform views. We already had a talk about that, and really like the concept of shaders, so I would really like to see that being pushed more forward. And specific application cases in which we say, no, it's a gradient, no, it's a shader, so we need to really define what it is and how to use it properly.
Thank you. And Teresa, what's yours?
It's really hard to actually name a widget right now, but actually because we have a widget that works so well on mobile application, and as in the beginning, I'm now exploring the side for desktop. I hope in the future, my favorite widget in the future would be some design system supportive widget for desktop, similar as what we're doing now for Cupertino and for Material.
Yeah, I think that something moved about that, because now we have the menus in the, or at least they were presented during the Flutter Forward, right?
Which
The menu in the
The-
window for desktop
The
application.
multi-window, you mean?
The actions for the application,
Yeah.
for desktop applications. So the one at the top bar that you can drag it. Drag it? No, use it.
And at least it's something that we didn't add, so it's better to have it growing. And Kendi, what's your favorite widget?
Well, it's very obvious, anything that has boxes. I mean, I presented my whole AR video in a box, so I think I liked it a lot. But yeah, there are so many, I can't really mention all of them, but yeah.
Thank you. And now, Majid, from you, I either expect or an extra serious answer or an extreme fun one.
Okay.
I don't know why. I have these.
Do you? Fun or serious? Wow.
Okay, do you have a couple of hours, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, okay. So should I answer the favorite widget?
your favorite widget.
I think I love container. It's just because when I started with Flutter, I did everything with container. And well, the fact is container is very flexible. You can do everything with container. So I guess my favorite widget is container.
And what do you want to see they add in the future to the container? I hope not.
They don't
because-
touch it, please. I've done many things with that. If they touch it, they have to refactor everything. No touch.
And now it's my turn. So my favorite is, I would say the container, but someone stole me.
Sorry.
So I will go with my second one, the floating action button. Mostly because it was really difficult to understand when I began coding with Flutter, why my application was failing because I was misusing the floating action button. I don't know if you ever tried, you can have two floating action buttons in the same route and navigate to another and back because it will break for the hero animation, because they have a tag for the hero animation, and if you go back, it breaks. But you can fix that. And also, it got me a compliment by my designer in the company, because I just added the floating action button, right? Then when you remove it or add it, it will do that with an animation. And they got some compliment. Wow, Carlo, that animation is so beautiful. Congratulations. And there was, which animation? I didn't do anything, but it was there. Let's get back at the change for the future of Flutter. They are adding some nice functionality. And what do you think about the migration in the future? Because I would like to see something like what they did for migration to Flutter 2.0, that they created a tool. But actually, I personally tried other cross-platform framework, and every time there is a major increase in the version is a huge pain. But in Flutter, at least in my opinion, I never had this problem. Do you have some experience with that?
I mean, that's the good thing about Flutter, right? It has a great set of developer tools. So we have the Dart fix apply, in which it has all the blue stuff in our code. It says what is the best thing that we can do, and we can apply it. And as you said, there's going to be a migration. And the cool thing is that if you think about it, the Flutter team not only has to think about, okay, so this is going to be causing a breaking change. No, I also need to create tools that will enable developers to make this change rather quickly. Because again, if you have, I don't know, 100,000 lines of code, triggering that to nullability, well, it's going to be a mess. We both passed through that, right? It's not that the tool is going to be magical, it's going to be perfect for every case, but at least 80% of the work is done. So instead of being 2 or 3 weeks, it's only 20. So kudos to the Flutter team for also thinking about us on breaking changes. I don't know if you want to add something, Majid?
No, I agree with you, but well, 5 years ago, I was in a company building a Flutter application, IoT application. I was like a massive app, like 500 pages and so many widgets. It was Flutter 1.2, I think, or 3 we started. And then we get to Flutter 2, so it didn't work. The migration didn't work. So the tools, of course, it helps, but not always, especially if the code base is super big. I went through that pain, which took us maybe a month to completely migrate from version 1 to version 2. Of course, it was lots of other things happening at the time, like null safety and things like that. But what I can say is, of course, tooling is helping, but what is really helping is structuring an app properly from the beginning, like thinking about some refactoring. One thing I really like to do is every day you're working on a function or a widget or something, right? You probably see another widget or another function or something that you may think, oh, today maybe I can do this a little bit better or refactor it. I think we should all take this chance and do that right away, write a test and make sure everything is perfect. One of the key to migration when we've done was having lots of good testing for our different, logic and, different widgets. So tooling helps, but make sure you are gradually upgrading your project as well. If you see a depreciated widget or a depreciated parameters nagging in your VS Code that this is going to be removed at some point, take a chance. If you face it at the time, you don't need to actually spend time. When you're doing another feature, maybe you see that, fix it. So I think this is something that I went through and I recommend everyone to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Before.
Do you want to add something?
Yes, I think I 100% agree with Majid. And when it comes to migration, especially when I was working on a project where we're supposed to move it now to sound null safe, and then you find that there are some core packages that are currently not upgraded to null safe. Now that becomes a really huge problem. But then when you find there is a large pool of other community developers rather who are willing to upgrade or create alternative packages, at least now that becomes easier to go with.
Yeah, I still have some nightmare about all the classes with in your legacy package usage. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so from my own experience, because I came from native development background, and there's one release for Android. It was a breaking change. I can't remember the name, but that's a requirement that you have to bump your version of the Android application. And we basically have to sync all the teams together, get one person from each team. So 7 people have to make that change together and make app release and the force update as well. It wasn't a fun journey. And the same story goes on to Angular. We did Angular 2.0 upgrade. And also now, this is probably why, talking about React Native, they never actually released React Native version 1. It's now still still hasn't go to version 1 yet. That means every time when they make a change, it's technically not a breaking change. So anyway, but in terms of Flutter itself, I had a very good experience with Flutter. Is within this package itself, whenever there's a new updates, and for example, right, we came from Flutter supporting mobile, iOS and Android. And when it goes to web and now desktop, within our framework itself, you don't have to do much. You can create a new project from scratch, having all this platform embedded in your project. Or if you have your application supporting just mobile initially, just run one line of command, then you have your application running on all platforms. This is super. Just for me, it's beautiful.
I have a fun story about that because basically back in the time when we didn't yet add the desktop support, they added it, and in the community, one of the person of the community told me, hey, Carlo, I ran it on Windows by mistake. It works. And I was like, yes, it works. Because I think that Flutter is one of the few frameworks that is almost 100% the same code for every platform. Personally, in several years, I had like once or twice the necessity to write something for the specific platform. Do you have an
Because it
experience?
was me that wrote that code, Carlo.
I know. But that's the community what it is for. Do you have some experience with that? The necessity of working on the native platform instead of the Flutter code?
Yes, I started developing from native initially, and I also have the experience to migrate a native application to Flutter as well. Also, I'm working on different framework right now for cross-platform, but in my opinion, Flutter doesn't just give you very good tooling to build the application. It also think about developer as well. It's a framework, it comes with developer in mind, has really good developer experience.
Thank you. Kendi, did you have an experience where you had to say, Flutter is not giving enough, so I have to write my own native code? It happened to you?
Well, not really, but I have friends that sometimes we give ourselves challenges. They're like, I can build this in this language. I'm like, okay, fine. I can also build this in Flutter. So let's compare notes and see which one comes out better. Yeah.
Thank you. And Majid?
Yeah, there are lots of things that you need to do on native part. Depends on the application you do. Well, that's very normal that you write some normal native code. And I like Flutter in this case because there's no like limitation over there. In fact, you can do anything in native with just the method channel. You back it to Flutter. And that's awesome. In fact, one of the greatest feature which is coming to Dart 3 is this feature that you can call native function directly to the Dart layer. This is fantastic. Like you don't really need to even implement method channel or anything like that, which is nice. Still preview, of course, but I'm really looking forward to that feature. And quite common.
This is what this panel was for.
Yes, that's it just came to my head. I have actually one question for you.
Really?
I mean, it's one request maybe.
Tell me.
If we can have maybe microphone to audiences or attendees right now, and they can also say something, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
If it's possible.
I don't know. There should be a microphone or...
There should be one microphone in the stand,
Yeah.
but it's not there.
Or Gonçalo can go around and ask people.
No, I think
I can go.
No.
No.
So what was your question for the audience?
So
I don't have any question, but if you have anything to like you want to ask or any
Have
question
one?
or any things that you want to
okay,
share,
let's go
please
here.
do.
So the person with hats, a clap, everyone. Let's clap.
It's just a simple question, because sometimes I hear from many companies that they don't trust in Flutter, so they keep going with native part. So do you think that like the native programming like is gonna die or something like that, and Flutter is gonna be like the most language used in here for mobile application, just for mobile in this case?
Someone of you want to answer?
I had lots of questions like this in my past projects. The thing is, right, there's no right or wrong answer for any choice of your framework. You choose what is best for your project.
Yeah.
And having Flutter exist on the side doesn't mean it's going to replace Android or iOS. It might or might not, it doesn't matter. When you design and decide what language is the best for your project, you don't have to care about whether Android will survive longer or not. Just think about if Flutter is the best for your project. Do you want to support the two platforms? Do you want to think about expand to web in the future? All those questions, put them together, then you make the best choice for your project.
Do you think that Flutter has so many limits that cannot replace the native part?
The best part for Flutter, in my opinion, is you actually use Flutter, but at any point of time, if there was something limit you
you
to
can go
continue,
native, yeah.
you can always go to native side. That means using Flutter, is the potential is unlimited.
Okay, thank you.
I want to add on this because basically you need to choose the right tool for the right work. If your application is extremely native only for one platform, you may ask yourself, should I use Flutter or should I go native? But again, the power of Flutter is the flexibility because you can write the code once for all the platform. If you need to, you can go into the native part. And that's, in my opinion, is the best part because you're asking if native it's going to die. I don't think so because anyway, Flutter run on some native platforms. So, but that is.
If the company stopped to build like native part, my question was.
Okay. But at that point, I add also something else because the best part is if tomorrow some new platform go out and Flutter maybe will support that, you don't actually need to learn in depth the new platform because you know already Flutter and you can expand your project. Of course, you, in my opinion, always need someone that have the expertise on said platform because you can never know when you need to touch the native code. But at least you have a good starting point.
Well, if I can add just one thing, I don't think that native, well, I'm going here so that everyone can see me. I don't think that native is going to die for one reason. I mean, if you're using Flutter, you're probably using it for a company that has less than 10 million users, right? But if you're Uber, if you're Netflix, that half a second loading, it matters to you. Having 120 FPS, it matters to you, right? So I'd say that for 90 to 95% of the companies, Flutter or other alternatives is good, but if you have a huge user base and if you want to give really the best experience and you have the money for that, then go native. As Carlo was saying, there are some applications that use a lot of native things. Well, today maybe the AR applications or applications that use heavily an SDK or something that relies on the native platform. Other than that, I don't think so. So to answer your question, big companies, very large applications will probably still use native. The rest can use Flutter. So who has more questions? Perfect. To the another person with a hat, a clap. Everyone, please clap. Thank you. If the next person doesn't have a hat, I'll be sad.
This panel, this round table become more like a round conference. And I personally like it. Thank you, Majid, for the...
Hi, everyone. I would like, I'm a little bit surprised that we are discussing the future of Flutter and we still did not discuss about Fuchsia OS, the new coming system from Google. I know this is like questions that is on every conference, right? And it's always like, but do we have any updates on that? Thank you.
Well, I can just say one thing and one thing only. We have to see what is the current bet of Google right now. What are they betting on? What's the direction that they're going? And if that aligns with Fuchsia or not. We can try to derive some, I don't know, some news about that, but I would wait until official confirmation, right? There is a development team, maybe it's there, maybe it's not. There were a lot of layoffs, so who knows? Let's wait for official announcement, but I would love to hear from the panel. What do you think about Fuchsia?
I want to say that personally, I don't know yet what Fuchsia is. I know just by the name and just some conspiracy that I saw around. But what I know is Flutter is ready for Fuchsia because we already have in the platform interface the check is Fuchsia. You can try it. Someone else want to add on Fuchsia for Flutter?
I don't know. I'm not working for Google. I have no, whatever you know, I know. I don't know. So I don't think even Googler knows. So
You can go on fuchsia.dev, I think.
there
And
are some public documentation for sure, but I don't think there is much information. And even if it comes, to be honest, I don't think it will be like a mainstream for a couple of years. I'm not expecting like to have a new platform, operating system, and then next day everyone switch. That's not gonna happen. Probably takes years. That becomes like a mainstream. So I'm not that worried about even that, even if it's coming tomorrow, to be honest.
speaking about weird platform, I have a smart fridge from Samsung. I tried our application and it was working on the fridge. It was fantastic. I think we had someone else there.
I'm sorry, you don't have a hat, so I cannot give the microphone to you.
So,
It's a good exercise, Gonçalo.
Thank you. And today we speak a lot about how Flutter is fantastic and flexible, something like that. And my question is, when we should choose Flutter, what are the weakest point of Flutter?
Your question is, when we want to choose Flutter, what is the biggest selling point of Flutter?
Exactly, yes.
Right. To answer this question on a high-level view, because I don't know your project, for myself, when someone asks me this type of question, I always think about the product lifecycle as a whole thing, not just to how we build it and also how we release the product as well. Because all the code that you do, if you don't release them, they're just stuck in your warehouse. So if you think about the time we need to implement to build a product, and at the same time think about the time we use to release a product, right? This is the power of having a multi-platform, cross-platform supporting tool. It just doesn't actually, it doesn't really reduce the cost, but improves your productivity. I hope that answers your question.
I can add one more to that. So I was working as software architect for about 2 years before I became DevRel. So my last talk, my last year talk here, there was a famous 2 words that I mention everywhere, and that means it depends. Everyone knows, right? So when this is a typical answer from an architect. When should I use this? It depends. It actually really depends on what you want to do. So when I was working as software architect, in fact, I had a task to figure out for the future of the company, and it was like an enterprise company. We had 30,000 employees all around the world, big companies. It was like a big decision to say whether to use this or that, right? It influenced the entire flow from top to down and bottom to bottom, right? To up top. So when I was searching about that, so of course you have different options, right? You have React Native right now, you have native, different language even on natives from time to time. Should you use Kotlin or Java still, right? This is still a question in the world of Android development. Whether, well, of course, lots of people say, go Kotlin, yeah, you can use Java, blah, blah, blah. But still, it depends on your team as well. So let me tell you the end result. We decided for Flutter. We need to use Flutter for building our cross-platform application in that company, right? But what was the main reason? Lots of things we investigated, or I did. And one of them, which is very strong one, is the team or the team's members that you are, or they are going to use the platform. So if you have a teams of Swift developers or iOS developers, if you suggest to them use JavaScript, maybe they don't come to work next day because they will suicide. This is a real, actually thing. We had a strong protest when we talked about React Native. But is there anything wrong with React Native? Absolutely not. It's another tools for doing something which probably makes sense to do at some point, right? If you look at it from architecture perspective, as a Flutter GD, you have to use Flutter, right? So that's a question usually we should ask. Like, okay, when to use this? Well, it's not an answer. It's actually a series of questions, an investigation in the company. Then you can decide, should I use now Flutter or not, right? So that's my very boring answer. It depends, but that's actually valid.
Yeah,
I also feel like adding on what Majid has said, it depends. Oh, I said it depends.
Don't steal my word.
Too late. How big is your company? Are you like a startup? Like, if you are, would you like think through it like business-wise, I hope? Am I capable of hiring native developers like for the iOS and for the Android bit? I mean, there is so much to consider on that.
Absolutely.
On that thing as well.
I can add one more thing, selling point you said. I actually sold Flutter to Swift developers. So it's a big win, I have to tell you. iOS
easy.
developers don't switch easily. I guarantee that. What I did, maybe you can take this as an experiment. In my company, we had like over 40 iOS developer and native app, right? Android developer, easy. You say Flutter, they switch, done. But you say to iOS developer Flutter or any cross-platform, doesn't matter what, no. They say like a strong protest. But I asked them, okay, you know, you all iOS developers say no Flutter, right? Okay, let's do a hackathon. We did a hackathon one day, and I invited Android, iOS, and JavaScript developers, web developers. Said, we're going to build an app. This is a concept. You do with any language you want, any framework you want. We do it in Flutter. Whoever finished the entire thing in one day, that person or that team will win. You can imagine what will happen, right? In Flutter, you just change, and in half a second, you see the result, but iOS will see 10 minutes to build, right? So every 10 minutes we had the feature deployed, but they were waiting for iOS to build. This is a way that I could convince like those who are not really trying the framework, but they're protesting. Well, how come you say JavaScript is not good if you're not using that? You need to use to figure out whether it's good or bad. For which situation you're talking about? Like, well, JavaScript is perfect for web, whereas Flutter is not. So it's good for some certain use cases, right? But not for everything.
I want to add on that from the company point of view, because many companies don't want to invest money, time to try out something. Yes. But there is a big selling point in Flutter for that. Because my favorite part of it is that you don't actually need to switch your whole project to Flutter. But if you have an application, Android, iOS application, you can start with a single screen, because you can add a Flutter package to any existing application. I think it was Alibaba that experienced.
Yeah, they started a lot with that app, yeah.
And basically, they just created a screen, because you can imagine an app like Alibaba is huge. The full transition will take a lot of time. But if you can change just one screen, experiment, see how the people feedback on that screen, and that is a small investment that can change the way your company works.
Before moving on to the next question, just want to summarize everything. If you have a team of developers right now working and they don't know what's the best approach, why not just test them? Like Majid said, do a hackathon. Say, this is our objective. Let's just build one or two screens. Let's try 3 or 4 different technologies. Let's have 1 week for this so that they can really appreciate each of the tech and then decide on what to use, right? Because it's, as he said, your developers might not like it. They might go to another approach, which is the best thing for your company. And now, More questions? Anyone has any question?
I would like to ask you something.
To me or to everyone?
To everyone.
Okay, thank
so,
you.
Okay, are you fine with that?
I'm fine. I thought it's a personal one.
Oh, if you want, I can, but I was thinking about Flutter. What is a dream feature that you want to see in the future for Flutter? Something that you feel this will be the next big feature that I want to see on Flutter.
That's a hard question, honestly.
I know.
Next big thing for Flutter.
I can leave that to audiences. What is your dream feature in Flutter? Anyone has a dream feature?
You see here, this is a perfect example of when you don't know how to answer, you ask the audience.
I know how to answer. No, I'm just kidding.
So I can kick it off. I think that it's really cool that we can add widgets to iOS screens, but there's a lot of boilerplate that we actually need to add. So it would be cool if we could do it all in Flutter, something that was presented in Kenya. You.
Thank you. It's not necessarily a Flutter feature, but I always miss, I don't even know if this exists, but we always have a pain with formatting. Like if you miss a comma, and then you have the formatting goes wrong, and then you need to add the comma somewhere. And I think this exists in TypeScript and JavaScript, and I was wondering why something similar doesn't exist for Flutter, unless I'm missing it.
I think you're missing it.
In which case, you got to tell me, because...
Because definitely Dart SDK comes with a good tooling, linting and formatting out of the box. And if you have your like editor properly set up with the plugins, you get that out of the box like instantly. If you're using like, maybe you don't get it because you are a Vim user, or you use Vim or something.
No.
There's not a good plugin for that, for sure, but there are some community ones.
Well, actually, there is the command line command.
There are some commands, yeah.
Dart format.
Dart format, you can use that. So actually it comes, the formatting in Flutter.
No, Dart format doesn't add the trailing commas. That's different. The linting.
The linting
there
does.
is a missing trailing comma, the format only formats the code.
Okay.
Yes.
So
it's
what you're saying,
Misunderstood.
does that also add the trailing commas and fix the formatting, or does it fix the formatting for existing
it
commas?
nags you in the browser, in the editor, that you are missing something here. It can be a linting rule, so you can always have that. And then you can use auto or quick fix and automatically fix your code.
If you use Dart fix apply, for example, it will look for all of the infos. If there is something that is easy applicable, it will automatically do it. So as Majid said, that
What's it called? Dart fix apply?
yes, so the command will be Dart fix dash apply. With the linting, it will do everything for you.
First, I think you need to look at the linting. What kind of rules do you have right now? So Flutter comes with some rules out of the box, but definitely you can add more. Some rules are not really enforced. Like maybe, I'm not sure about comma. In fact, you can actually, yeah, it's not actually, right? So you can actually enforce the rule, say, I like comma, I want comma, right? If you tell that in the analyzer YAML file as a rule should be enforced, then your analyzer plugin in the editor will nag everyone. Oh, you missed one comma. You need to add a comma.
All right, thanks. Good to know.
And there's also another solution, which is if you have a team lead that reviews your PRs and always says, there's a missing trailing comma, then you know. One more question. Let's go. Question or thing for the no, you don't need to. I need to go up and down. Need to go up and down. Don't worry about it. This is my gym for the day.
I really would like to have a kind of template system for new projects or packages. So like...
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's also already existed. Are you familiar with Mason? Sorry.
Mason? Yeah, I didn't, well, explore it much, but well, I need to explore it much, but the point is having a very customizable template, like I've seen in other well TypeScript and JavaScript projects.
Yeah, you can definitely do that in Dart as well. And Mason actually is the package to do that. It comes with a I think something called Bricks, if I'm not mistaken. And there is actually a website for that, bricks.dev, if I'm not mistaken again. And so you can find lots of actual templates which community built that. And you can just use Mason for that, M-A-S-O-N, and it's built by Felix Angelov, so he's creator of Block. If you're using Block library, he's the one that has created Mason as well. And in fact, last week, I think it was on Flutter channel, Greg and Felix, they had a pair programming for 1 hour, and they went through Mason together. I think it was last week. Well, today is 24th of February, so those who are watching later, last week means, I don't know, 10 days before of 24th, 14.
I just want to add, Majid, quoting you, it depends on really what you want, because again, Mason might be a good option for you, but in the case of our company, for example, we scaffold 100% of all the networking layers, plus the forms, plus part of the application. And instead of using Dart for that, we used Go templating. So you could use different tools to reach the same results. It depends on what you want. So for example, if you want to read everything from a configuration file and have something that is very, very custom to you, and you have a good DevOps team, maybe Go templating, maybe using another templating language might be the best for you. Not to say that you shouldn't use Felix's great package, but explore the options and see what's best for you.
I love when you say it depends.
I know it. I had to say it.
Do you know that actually these... You wanted to say something?
There you go.
I think something that I want to see improvement, or rather something being worked on, is the relationship between CocoaPods and Flutter. I mean, I feel like these guys need to the whole reason us guys are using Flutter is because it's very seamless to work with and it's very nice. But now when it comes to integrating it with CocoaPods, it's just really, really disappointing. I feel like that they need to improve their relationship between Apple and Google on that.
That will be pretty much difficult since the two companies involved, but I'm pretty sure that at some point we will get something easier. I don't know if you ever did native Android development. So you don't know what native Android developer had when they switched to Gradle. Basically, the same what you feel for CocoaPods, I think, because I really hated Gradle.
Is it the Gradle build that was taking forever to load?
Exactly that. Teresa, do you want to add something?
If I may, for the future of Flutter, actually, I like to see the spreading of Dart everywhere, because in my opinion, Dart is a beautiful language. I know the semicolon, but apart from that, it depends. Because actually I think Dart is the only language, I might be wrong, is that compiles just in time and also ahead of time. So it's like a script language, but also native language. But this is actually a drawback for Flutter, in my opinion, because the language itself is very limited, used just for front-end project in Flutter. For other packages or framework I've seen, they become popular because the language that carries underneath the framework is popular, like a JavaScript, TypeScript. But for Flutter, that's one of the limitations. But nowadays, I've seen lots of use case and the developers actually pushing Dart on the backend side, which is great. And we might see more announcement around this area.
I think we have reached our...
Well, I think it's a good place
Can I ask one question from audience before
It's your show, Majid. Go.
No, it's not my show, but
It depends. It's long or short?
it's very short.
It's
very short. Tomorrow, your product owner is coming to you or someone from the company and say, we want to use this instead of that. Like, they want to use Fluff, whatever. What's your answer?
It depends. Majid, wait. Don't. We have one more question.
We do? Yeah, sure.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. At first, I agree with him regarding the indentation and wrong formats. I would prefer to have the functionality you suggested, which is fine, but I would like to have it by default in order to avoid inconsistent indentation states and
it's actually default.
No,
but it
default
comes with some rules that are not enforced because, well, not everyone likes, for example, 80 like long in the row. In fact, in my first project, that was the first. In fact, I'm the contributor into Flutter CLI to change 80 to 120.
Oh, okay.
I don't like 80. 80 is too short.
Was too short, yeah.
But you see, it comes with something, but if it comes with a feature that lets you to change it easily, like for example, if you go to analysis YAML file and just say this rule equal true or whatever, if that's as easy as it is, then you're good to go. And that is actually the case. It comes with some default, but this is not, default, because not everyone likes it. I actually had, some people are, anyone here has done closure language? So closure comes with lots of, parentheses. It's quite normal to see those parentheses in that language. If you're coming from that background, or Lisp, for example, you feel home. And, that's the reason it's not enforced. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
And, excuse me, just another one. Another thing that I like to have, maybe it's already there and I've missed that, but it's a better way to handle different vertical indexes for adjacent containers. Because, for example, if I have two containers, one below another one, children, so...
use column and two containers.
I just want to add something, because this discussion is incredibly interesting, but we can continue the discussion. It's not limited to this panel.
Sure. That means I need to...
that the time is over.
And I will be there.
Look, I think it's a really good place to end anyway on a discussion about what do we want for the future of Flutter, which is why I kept trying to say, stop. But it is a good place to end. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for all your contribution. Thank you for all of your questions. Big round of applause for our panel. Thank you. Thank you.